needed to open up 2 more restaurants, and this was December. We needed to open 2 more restaurants up because it was a publicly traded company, and we needed to do it in 1 month.
Yeah, so why don't you give everybody a little bit of introduction and let us know who you are and what you do.
All right, fantastic. My name is Michael Washington. Currently a DSP with Amazon, with that in the Cleveland, Ohio area. So I've been with Amazon or doing this as a DSP for the last, we launched on November 14th of this year. So
now, have you always been a business owner, or is this kind of new for you?
Well, new in the logistics end. Prior to that, I was involved for 2 months with one of the other DSPs in the Cleveland area. Did HR recruiting, operations with them, and prior to that, involved in several other businesses. My background: 30 years in the restaurant industry, operations. As well as, operations, as well as human resources and training. Did that for several major companies. And then at one point, I had a commercial cleaning business.
All right, we lost all video here.
I can see you, Mike.
All right, no worries. We'll just run audio.
Okay.
It works just the same for me.
All righty.
So out of your 3 major businesses, cleaning, food and restaurant, and now logistics, what do you find most exciting?
Each one has some unique challenges, I'll tell you. However, the logistics piece has probably been the most exciting and most challenging. And what I mean by that, challenging in the sense that it's caused me to look at several different aspects of business that I wasn't involved in the past. So probably the biggest piece that's the common denominator in all of that is the people side. Finding great people has probably been the biggest thing that, for me, from a business perspective, has been the most critical thing I've been involved in.
Now, what are you looking for when you're looking for great people?
It starts with personality and attitude. I'll be honest with you. Someone may not, if we look at the logistics piece with Amazon and delivery, they may not understand or might not have done this particular job in the past, but if they have a great attitude and a good work ethic, usually those are the other skill sets you can teach a person. So I start there.
Okay. And then is there anything that is like automatic red flag that you're like, this person looks good on paper, but after meeting them, it's just like, no way?
When I'm looking at building teams, no matter whether it's been with Amazon or other businesses I was involved in, there's got to be some type of connection where you feel like, hey, you can work together to be successful, that they are willing to be on a common goal with the direction of the company. If I see that, hey, they have a poor attitude, they're not really a team player, they don't like working, even in the Amazon business, they're on the road by themselves a lot, but you still have to function as a team, whether it's helping out when you're done with your route, whether it's, hey, I need to go take this piece of equipment to someone who maybe their device is broken, or those types of things. So I look for people that have great attitudes and start there.
No, what has been your riskiest venture? Have you ever been in a position where either your family or those around you thought you were kind of crazy and you were kind of putting all your chips in, and if it didn't work out, was it going to be a great outcome?
Probably when I first started in the business in the restaurant field. Years and years ago, I was a pre-med student at Michigan State University. And as life happened and things happened and new challenges came about, I needed to enter the business field. And so I left Michigan State and left the pre-med program and went into business. And I will tell you that several people in my family had concerns and doubts. about that decision, but at the time it was the right decision for myself and my family. And in the end, it worked out.
Now, what made you transition away from restaurants since you have so much experience there?
I'll be honest with you. It was a situation where I was contacted by a current DSP, friends of mine who I'd done human resource consulting for in the past. They were having a lot of success with the Amazon DSP model and asked me to come in on board and take a look at it. Once I came on board with them, I was running multiple restaurants at the time. And I left the restaurant industry to join with this group, and then had an opportunity to turn my application in to become a DSP as well. So really just looking at the opportunity that this particular business venture offered was the deciding factor.
Now, what do you think is the most important thing that you've carried over from the restaurant industry into last mile delivery?
Um,
Or even just maybe any aspect of your life that wasn't necessarily restaurant specific?
I mean, it kind of goes back to the people side. I spent years in the human resource industry, and that was all about people, whether it's helping develop people, whether it's coaching and disciplining people. And I think that carries over in everything that I've been involved in. So if you look at last mile delivery, finding great people, but also finding people that you can develop to assist, whether in the management role, assist in other leadership areas, it's just been critical to the success of the business because at the end of the day, no one person can do this. If you look at last mile, no one person can do this by themselves. You need great people around you that you can coach, that you can develop. And there's more to HR than just the discipline side, and it's really helping people develop and grow their careers. And for me, that's probably the most satisfying piece as well.
Now, so for myself, whenever I've built teams in the past, I kind of like judge people based on who I think they can become, and I try to have enough people coming onto the team that are good today that may have a really low ceiling, but they're going to take very low maintenance. Like, do you try to find people on both ends of the spectrum as well, or is there kind of more than just like the team player phenotype that you're looking for?
Well, you bring up a great point. You're gonna have all types of people, and when you look at specifically last mile, the number of employees that you have in one particular station, that's going to vary anywhere from say 60 to 100 people, depending on the time of the year. And so some of it is you want to find those people that, hey, this is all they're looking to do. If they want to come in, they want to be great drivers. They may not want to become managers or leaders because there's not room in the model for everyone to be able to grow with the company. However, so having good, stable players is critical as well. So you need to find a great balance. I mean, I used that same philosophy when I was in the restaurant industry. You wanted a good mix of people that wanted to grow and develop, that were internal candidates. And then I hired a select group of people that were from the outside that brought a totally different perspective, that were also looking to come on board and grow with the team.
Now, going back to the restaurant days, because you have a lot of experience there, was there any moments or story you can tell the time when you kind of surprised yourself? Like you're going through something, didn't look like it was going to have a positive outcome, and then when the dust settled, you're like, holy crap.
Yeah. It's looking specifically at restaurant. I'll tell you, I used to work for Wendys International years ago. And when I was with Wendys, I was on the corporate side and and I was running at the time 8 restaurants. We needed to open up 2 more restaurants. And this was December. We needed to open 2 more restaurants up because it was a publicly traded company. And we needed to do it in 1 month. And in the restaurant industry, opening a restaurant is a major undertaking. But we had 30 days to get those 2 locations open in order to meet the targets that the company had set for our investors, for Wall Street, those types of things. So we had to do some unique things. You're balancing construction, you're balancing operations, but finding enough people, getting them trained properly, and getting two restaurants set up to open up in less than 30 days was probably the biggest challenge I had in the restaurant industry. Fortunately, we did a lot of overnights. We did multiple stretches where you'd work 2 or 3 days straight with no break, trying to get restaurants set up and those types of things. But we were able to open up the second restaurant. We opened up one Christmas week and we opened up one New Year's Eve. So it's probably the longest month of my life and the hardest I've ever worked. However, we were able to accomplish that goal. And it goes back to people again, because I definitely couldn't have done something like that without a great team around me.
Now, how different is it working for a corporate structure for a publicly traded company and kind of building your own corporate structure to where it's all on you and you don't have that Wall Street pressure, but then you also don't have somebody else to lean on when things don't go right?
Two totally different worlds, I'll tell you. I was most of my restaurant years were I was in multi-unit and upper level management, and even that compared to like last mile, where all those decisions and all those pressures ultimately fall on you, just a totally different piece. In the sense of in last mile, I'll tell you that probably one of the biggest differences is from the corporate structure is you don't have some of the support systems. Amazon is great as a partner, but I don't have a separate accountant that pays all my bills. I don't have a payroll department that manages all the payroll. Those types of things you have to set up and manage yourself. And then you still have to make sure that from an operations and a people standpoint, you're involved in those types of things. So it's there's pluses to both. I've been excited to be a part of this and be able to develop it myself. So I have my hands in a little bit of everything. So I set up all of the payroll pieces. The beauty with Amazon and partnering with Amazon is, hey, they set some direction with, hey, we want you to use ADP. However, getting that whole process set up from the ground up is several weeks. And I was very involved in that, where in a corporate structure, those things are already in place for you and you kind of walk into that.
Now, is last mile delivery the end goal, or are you gathering your chips so you can make a big push into something that you've been always trying to get to, or?
Well, it's yes and no. So yes, because I'm very excited about the last mile piece, but also being a part of the 2.0 program, which is ever changing and always evolving. Hoping to, I've spoken with a group that's of oncoming DSPs, spoken with Amazon leadership about things that I think will continue to help the program grow. And as long as it continues, the opportunity to grow within the program is still there. Currently the program is set up for a DSP 2.0 can only be in one station. I have hopes and desires that may change in the future and provide an opportunity for additional growth, which again creates additional opportunities for people. I mean, I have a very good team, I feel, and would like opportunities for them to continue to grow as well. So, I always look at other opportunities. I can't tell you that I don't. Definitely like the challenges of being an entrepreneur, but very excited about this opportunity to be a DSP right now.
Now, when trying to work with a big corporation like an Amazon, I'm sure there's other companies too that have opportunities to come in for large scale partnerships like that. What would be your advice going into it? That maybe you could have saved yourself some headaches or some time if somebody would have said, hey, listen, here's your playbook. Don't do this, do this instead.
You know, it doesn't matter what company you're with. There's going to be unique opportunities or challenges that are going to be arise. Some of those the corporation can't foresee. I guess the biggest thing I would tell anyone looking to go into this, and I spoke with a group of people that were considering this opportunity since I've been involved, and probably the biggest thing I shared with them is this: you have to be flexible. This process, whether it's last mile, whether you're with an established company. I mean, I worked for several major companies when I was in the restaurant industry. I worked for Yum Brands and McDonald's corporate, as well as Wendy's International. You've got to be willing to change and be flexible. That's probably the biggest thing because the industry, whether it's logistics and last mile or a restaurant, it's always changing. So if you can change and grow with whatever your partner company is, I think you can have success.
Now, do you do anything to what's a good way to put it? To heighten your growth and development? Do you read? Do you go to seminars? Have you been to seminars? Do you have any type of continuing education program, or is it all through the experience of being at these corporations at high level?
It's a combination of both. I really enjoy reading, and I'll tell you that I use audiobooks a lot because I'm on the road and in the car a lot. So Audible through Amazon is a plug I guess I'd use, but I'll tell you that whether it's probably some of the most recent books that I get involved in is there's one called Scaling Up. And then Mastering the Rockefeller Habits is one. And then also Stealing Fire, probably the three most recent books I've gone through.
Now, what book would you recommend most or have given out most to like-minded individuals?
One that I haven't read probably in about 2 years, but I would tell someone that's just starting off, there's a book called The One Thing. And it talks about keeping things simple and not overcomplicating things. And I probably would start there, depending on where their level of experience is. And the reason I say that is it teaches you and talks about focusing on, as you set your goals, there's a lot of things that are going to be thrown at you and making sure you're prioritizing things and putting things in order and not trying to handle everything all in one day, whether it's setting up your payroll system, whether it's working with your workers' comp company, whatever those types of things are, you're going to be involved in a lot of different things, but making sure that you're prioritizing things and keeping things structured because it can become overwhelming otherwise.
Now, has there ever been not an opportunity, but a time when you kind of let the structure fall aside for the sake of speed, and then either won or failed because of it?
I don't know if I let the structure fall aside, but I will tell you that I launched during the middle of peak season, and I think that we as a team did a really good job up until launch, and then I guess I launched about a week before peak officially started. When peak started, some of our systems, I think we could have done a much better job of. We had not many, but I probably had a couple of people that we were delayed a week or two in the onboarding process, which is just critical just because we were bringing on so many people at once trying to gear up for peak. So I feel like we have a pretty good structure in place as how we onboard people, how we orientate them internally and then send them to the classes. And I'll tell you that, we had a couple of people fall by the wayside. Fortunately, we were able to recover them, but we were delayed a couple of weeks on some of those folks. So it just, I've spent some time as recent as this morning with my team talking about, hey, we got to make sure we're coming out of peak and we're nice and tight on all of our details as far as our structure, the systems that we have in place and utilizing them and making sure we're not missing on any of the systems.
Now, what would you tell somebody who's looking to go away from what they've been doing for a long time or what wasn't expected from them, and start something that they've either always wanted to do or they've been curious about, and kind of take that step in the non comfortable direction.
Well, if it's two parts to your question, Mike. If it's something that they've already wanted to do and they've researched it and they know the ins and outs of what's going to be expected, dive in. The opportunities, whether it's with Amazon or other companies, those opportunities aren't always open. So if you have an opportunity to do something that you're passionate about, I always encourage people to jump in. If it's something you're unsure of, I would tell you, do your research. Make sure you speak with people that are in the industry that are doing it. That's why I'll be honest with you. When I've been invited to talk to people who are considering the DSP program, I've never said no, because I want to encourage people, one, that I'm very excited. I think it was the right move for me, but to research it and understand what they're getting involved in, whether it's Amazon or any other company. Talk to the people that are doing it every day. And that would probably be the biggest thing I would tell them, because once they make that commitment to do it, I've seen people get in it and, they'll say, hey, it's the hardest job I've ever done, but I love it and I wouldn't change a thing. And other people that the sacrifice is too much for them and they get out. So I would say if they can avoid that and they know what they're getting into because they've had multiple conversations, don't talk to just one person, because every person's experience is different. Talk to as many people as you can, and find out as much as you can prior to.
And I think that's probably a pretty good place to put the bookmark in and let you get back to your day. And we'll probably definitely have you back on for round 2 and kind of see where things are at a few months down the road.
Sounds great, Mike. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
All right. Thanks for coming on and kind of jumping through the couple hoops that I had you have to go through to be able to make it to the show.
Not a problem at all. You have a great weekend and a good holiday as well.